people ask me on a regular basis the difference between a trust and a will. And it's important that people know the difference. Now, regrettably, there's a lot of scam artists out there that oversell and scare people into a trust, and they really don't know why. And people should be able to go into this process with their eyes wide open. Now, with that said, 90% of clients are going to choose the trust, but they should know why and not feel pressure to do so. So I'd like to explain the difference between the two and kind of lay out this whole topic, because I think you're going to love it. Now, here's my pen. All right, now here's the difference between that will and trust. The first thing that a will does is it says who's going to get what. You know, we pretty much all understand that, right? Who's going to get what, and we might appoint our executor, who's going to handle the funeral and burial instructions. And I got a little, video on who's an executor and what their role is. We'll talk about that later. But you're going to appoint your executor in your will, and then you're also going to maybe appoint your guardian as to who's going to raise your minor children, or if you have adult disabled children, who's going to be the guardian. That's a will. Now, I wish more people did a will. It would save you thousands and thousands of dollars and families that have to go through probate later and a lot of issues. But a will would be good, it at least helps. Now, the beauty of a trust is a trust does a couple extra things. A trust not only does who gets what, but when and how. And this is a big deal because we love to put on all these extra rules and provisions on how this money is and our assets are going to be distributed. And it's an important thing. You're still going to appoint your executor with a will, but you're going to have also a trustee. And a trustee is going to be the one that handles the money. And you still have your guardian. Now, this means that you've got three players in your estate plan. You've got the executor, the guardian, and the trustee. And they can be different people. They can also be the same one or two people acting as backup to one another. The executor handles your funeral and burial instructions. The trustee is going to handle the distribution of money. And your guardian is going to raise the kids. And again, they could all be the same person or different. Now, here's the deal. The main difference or reasons why you might do a trust are three. Number one is if you have minor children. If you have minor children or children that act like minors, then we want to make sure that you've got a trust, because this is where the when and the how is so important. You don't want your kids running around at age 18 with a bunch of extra cash and no control and guidance on how that money is to be distributed and handled. I like to put special rules on a trust, like kids get money when they're 25, 30, and 35 in stages. There can be rules on having a certain GPA. There can be to get money for school. They can have money to get married, start a business, but they just don't get money dumped in their lap. And that's what's so nice about a revocable living trust, is that even if your kids are over age 18, it may not be appropriate to just drop this big chunk of money into their life. So that's the first reason why a trust makes a lot of sense. The second reason is probate. Now, again, this can be a scare tactic that people overemphasize, but it's still a kind of a pain in the butt and costs money. Essentially, probate is a judge analyzing your will, or if you have no will at all, a judge is going to look at your estate and decide who gets what, or verify that the will's accurate, and kind of distribute everything. A lawyer's going to be involved, court costs, you've got to publish things in the newspaper. It takes time and money. And in some states, there's additional fees for the value of your estate when it comes to probate. So we have to be really careful looking at our overall picture and deciding if we have enough assets where a trust really would save us thousands and thousands of dollars later on. And this is where an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and where the trust can make a major impact. The third reason that I think a trust is very important is for estate taxes. Now, as you know, and you've probably read there in some of the information already on the website, the estate tax exemption has been increased dramatically under the fiscal cliff legislation this past year. So that's really good. Estate taxes aren't hitting as many Americans, but still, some of you may have large life insurance policies, additional real estate, additional investments, and having some sort of trust structure to minimize federal or state estate tax or death tax is very, very important. So these are the reasons why a trust makes a lot of sense. And you're still going to have a will, even with a trust. We call that a pour-over will. I got another video on that. But the point is here is that your trust is going to be a major part. And the last thing I want to highlight here is bringing it all together is absolutely amazing. Because when you have a trust, your trust is really going to own all of your assets. So what I typically do is have your trust as the primary owner of all of your investments. And it may own your corporation, your LLCs, for business purposes, and your trust is going to own your home, your primary residence. It may own different investments like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and you may even have your retirement account in the mix. And all of this goes down into your trust. So we're going to have more videos on how to maintain your trust, how this all comes together, but this is the beauty of a revocable living trust. And again, I really believe 90% of Americans need to do the trust, but they shouldn't be choosing it out of fear, but out of the peace of mind and comfort that they've organized their estate in a proper manner. Thanks.